This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith, and in your headlines today, local group in Vredenhoop Shorebase inks $300 million agreement with ExxonMobil to support Yellowtail project. Court ruling on Glenn Lal's legal challenge over abusive tax waivers to oil companies set for September. EPA gives green light for preparatory works for gas to energy project. Peruvian oil spill affects 1,625 wildlife species. Courtney Ben bids again for a project he failed to complete in 2020. Murder suspect nabbed by Mabaruma residents and the community policing group. Clerk charged for embezzling over $1 million from internet company. Pensioner found unconscious in Rose Hall home with slit throat. And cane cutter gets 8 years for chopping off reputed wife's wrist. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help. Check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend. Send credit. Check the Georgetown and Burpees Bridge schedules. Activate a roaming plan. Play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
And now for the news in detail. Guyanese businessmen involved in the ambitious $300 million Vredenhoop Shorebase Inc. project have inked an agreement with oil major ExxonMobil Guyana to provide shore-based services to its upcoming $10 billion Yellowtail development offshore Guyana. The local investors are confident that this transformational venture will significantly reduce the cost of shipping while creating a springboard facility that will aid in the development of other local service provision companies here. Nicholas Boyer, one of the main partners in the business consortium, said that the group expects its operations to kick off by the fourth quarter of 2023, recognizing the immediate need for a facility to support Guyana's new energy industry. And in other news, the High Court has set a timeline within which it will hear the oil tax case filed by Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal. Lal had filed the case against the government of Guyana over the extensive tax waivers granted to ExxonMobil and other oil operators. The matter, which Esso joined as a respondent, is set for continuation before Justice Nareshwar Harnanan at the High Court in Georgetown on August 12, 2022. As such, Lal's attorney, Muhammad Ali, is expected to file submissions in response to the defense brought by the government and Esso on or before June 3rd, while the respondents, the government of Guyana and Esso, are expected to file their answers by July 1st. All written arguments are scheduled to be filed by July 29th, and August 12th is set for oral arguments. And moving on, ahead of approving its $1.3 billion gas to energy pipeline project, the EPA has given Esso its blessings to commence preparatory works for the final project that remains under scrutiny. On Wednesday, the environmental impact assessment for Exxon's part of the project was submitted to the EPA. The document explains that, separate from the project's environmental authorization, the agency has issued a no-objection letter authorizing selected early works activities that will support the proposed construction activities for the project. The approved early works, according to the assessment, relate primarily to the upgrading, rehabilitation, and repair of approximately 6 bridges and some 11 kilometers of roads along the west bank of Demerara Public Road from the village of Potentia south towards the natural gas liquid plant site. And moving on, in a recent update on the Peru oil disaster, the country's Agency for Environmental Assessment and Enforcement reported that the National Service and Protected Natural Areas by the state cited 1,625 wildlife species that were affected. It was also disclosed that 1,625 wildlife species that were cited, only 93 were rescued, and of the approximately 12,000 barrels of crude that was spilled on January 15th, Suriname recovered 7,000 gallons of supernet and hydrocarbon at sea using specialized equipment. The crude was spilled from one of the La Pompeya refineries, which is owned by Spanish oil giant Repsol, off the coast of Ventanilla in the region of Lima, Peru. The spill was reportedly caused by shock waves from an undersea volcanic eruption near Tonga in the South Pacific Ocean. And now let's tell you, Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited, a company that was flagged in 2017 by the Ministry of Public Works for failing to complete rehabilitative works on the Bartica Stelling, is now bidding again for the same project. We had reported last month that the ministry, through the Transport and Harbours Department, had put out a tender for a new contractor to continue the rehabilitation of the Bartica Ferry Stelling, which is estimated to cost $572.6 million. The project, which saw a lone bidder, Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited, submitting a proposal of $570.4 million to execute the works. The rehabilitation of the Bartica Stelling began under the previous administration, and it had planned to complete the project in 2 phases. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will resume after the break. Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. 42-year-old cane cutter Warren Dennis was on Friday sentenced to 8 years imprisonment for chopping his reputed wife to her face, shoulders, left hand, and severing her wrist. Dennis, formerly of Betova-Wakting, East Coast Demerara, was arraigned before Justice Simone Morris Ramlal at the Demerara High Court. In March 2022, he pleaded guilty to the attempted murder charge, which stated that on April 23, 2017, in the county of Demerara, he wounded a woman with intent to commit murder. As such, on Friday, a probation report in favor of Dennis was read to the court before his sentencing. Justice Morris Ramlal sentenced Dennis to 8 years behind bars for the offense. However, she ordered that the Guyana Prison Service deduct the time he spent on remand from his sentence. In other news, 28-year-old Amrita Dharampal of Monrepo was on Friday placed on $200,000 bail for allegedly embezzling over $1 million from NextLink Communications. She denied the charge, which states that she stole the money from the said company. And according to the facts, the young woman, who was a cashier, was assigned to a system to receive payments during her allotted working period, when the company recognized that funds were missing. Checks were made at the defendant's system, which showed payments were being backdated. CCTV footage that was obtained also showed the defendant placing money into her jacket. She was arrested, told of the allegation, and charged. Dharampal is expected to make her next court appearance on May 20th. In other news, residents and members of the Mabaruma Community Policing Group assisted police on Friday to capture a man wanted for the death of his foster son, Daniel Wilson. According to information received, 30-year-old suspect Nigel Abraham was nabbed in the Lower Blackwater community located in the Northwest District, Region 1. It was reported that 17-year-old Wilson of Lower Blackwater was allegedly stabbed to death by his foster father on Easter Sunday night. According to reports, the tragic incident, which claimed the life of the teen and left his cousin hospitalized, occurred around 22 hours. Investigation so far revealed that Wilson, his foster father, and one of his cousins, Ron Moonsamy, were imbibing when an argument ensued amongst them. And to wrap things up, let's tell you that an elderly woman is currently hospitalized in a stable condition at the New Amsterdam Hospital with a gaping wound to her neck. She was discovered lying in a pool of blood by a friend and neighbor on Thursday at approximately 17 hours 30. Hospitalized is 64-year-old Jamul Muksha of JC Chandising Street, Rose Hall Town. Reports are that a perpetrator entered her yard from the back through a zinc fence. As she made her way to the back to check on where the noise was coming from, she was reportedly confronted and attacked. The perpetrator or perpetrators slashed her throat with a sharp object and reportedly escaped. Police Commander Budnarayan Prasad has since told us that 2 persons were arrested yesterday and they are presently in police custody assisting with investigations. And now we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News, dedicated to, of course, being blunt. Release the Alison Redford Report. President Irfan Ali, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo and Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat had promised to release the reports done by Canadian lawyer and former politician Alison Redford on the ExxonMobil's Payara project plan. It is a year and 7 months since they have failed to keep their word. How long will they deny citizens the transparency they deserve? How long will we be prevented from understanding whose interest did this former Canadian lawyer work in? Guyanese demand to have access to the Payara. This level of gross disrespect must come to an end. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
A friend said to me, Glenn, this EU dollars is always on top of the world. Everybody else's currencies just go up and down. But that one stays on top. One way all the time. You know why, guys? It is because the entire world is working just to upkeep those white people money strong and give them a good life. Third world countries with corrupt leaders allow these people to come into their country and take out all their resources, fetch them out, sell it, make billions. Then they turn back and lend your country